Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video I will share the seeds I assigned to all the combos that are participating in the tournament series I'm currently working on. I'll start by explaining briefly how the tournament works. In this tournament there are 64 factions, so 32 combos competing, and they were all chosen at random. All the rebalances and errata will be included, so I'm very excited to see how the new abilities will influence the games. There will be 5 rounds in this tournament, and in order for me to finish this tournament within a reasonable time, combos will be out of the tournament after losing just one game. However, in round 4 and 5, which are the finals and the semi-finals, there will be a best of 3 games format. Last of all, the seeds that I will be showing in this video are just an indication of their real seed. I didn't spend a lot of time in making the seeds because they are only there to make sure that the number 2 does not have to compete against the number 1 in the first few rounds. In other words, it doesn't matter if the seed 6 is actually seed 10, but it does matter if seed 6 is actually seed 20. So let's get started with the combos. So starting with the highest seed, we have seed 32 Masters of Evil Vikings. This deck just seems really bad to me. Vikings cannot move and slow down their draw to gain power. Masters of Evil only start to shine in endgame when their cards are the most powerful. But I don't think Vikings will win enough bases to make this actually matter. Seed 31 Disco Fairies. Disco Fairies can use fairy actions to build up power without adding more power to the base. And they can use the disco actions terminally to score a base. However, this combo will probably be too slow, and they will struggle a lot against factions that can move and destroy their minions. Next up, we have C30 Star Roamers Sinister 6. There are a couple of things that I really like. Ship's Captain searching and playing Green Goblin seems very good, and using Port Me Up with Ship's Engineer in play to move Dr. Octopus or Mysterio also seems very strong. But is this going to happen? Both factions are rather slow and do not have good draw. C29 Magical Girls Elder Things. I really like the new Celestial Teleport, but Magical Girls need draw in order to get it. Elder Things don't have much draw, nor do they have movement. They do have 2 actions that play extra minions, which Magical Girls also really like. But both of these actions are conditional. They both have very good recursion, but their lack of draw could stop them from utilizing it. C28 World Champ Cowboys. World Champs have some good dueling actions, but they do not have excellent draw. Cowboys really need a lot of draw so that they can draw enough minions to save the deputies for the +2 power. They do have antagonism and at least some movement, and with 2 sheriffs they can also be very dangerous while scoring a base. C27 Miskatonic Kaiju. Miskatonic University has only 1 action to play on a base, and Kaiju does not provide a lot of minions you would want to play with Professor or Eldritch Gate. Miskatonic University does have a lot of card draw to make it easier to find those few minions in the deck. However, some cards still seem rather weak in this combination. So next up we have C26 Sumo Wrestler Idicritters. Idicritters want good power 2 minions to play from the deck, but Sumo Rookie does not really seem like a good fit for it. However, I can see Sumos discarding small Idicritter minions so that they can go back to the deck more easily, and I also really like the easy access to Yokozuna with Evolution. Teddy Bear Kree, seed 25. This seems like a decent deck to me. They will have very good draw, and they can play multiple care packages with the extra Kree actions. With those care packages, you can play multiple Kree sentries who can become a 4. But because of their printed power of 2, they are also great to use for a Sir Squeezes burst. C24 Luchadors Bears. I wasn't sure how they would perform. They score both high on antagonism, but they are also both a bit slow. They can use Luchador's setup actions to set up and Bear Cavalry actions to score a base, though the Bear Cavalry actions are quite versatile. Pin and Caparoa can make it safer for Bear Cavalry to use their opponent's minions to score a base. Then we have C23 Geeks Mounties. Yes, sorry, I tend to disagree with geeks being the most powerful faction in the game. I can see them go crazy with a partner with good draw and recursion, like Russian fairy tales. But not with Mounties. Mounties want high-powered minions to spread out and move, which geeks do not provide. Geeks want draw and recursion to use and repeat their most annoying cards, which Mounties don't have. The only reason for me to not give them an even lower seed is that they still can be very lucky with their draw, and the new Warbanuk is quite awesome. Next up, we have Russian Fairy Tales Shapeshifters C22. The first thing that came to mind is that they have easy access to Birchwoman and Finis the Falcon. I also like using transformation abilities on a copycat I played earlier. Shapeshifters desperately need recursions, which Russian Fairy Tales has. So in other words, I think Russian Fairy Tales can make shapeshifters work, but I don't see them go crazy. Next we have C21 Tornado Time Travelers. These are two very strong factions, but I don't see synergy. Tornadoes want strong minions they can move, and Time Travelers want powerful actions to play with Time Box and also powerful 2-power minions, but Dust Devils will just add 2 more power. They will have no problem in guaranteeing a second place, but they lack the cards that provide power to score and win bases themselves. And what minion would you save with a Tornado special? Next we have C20 Beauty and the Beast Explorers. First of all, Explorers need draw. You want to play your Crypt Looters after a new base comes into play and not with your regular minion play. And then there are 2 other actions that have a similar problem. But how do we get all these minions in our hand? Beauty and the Beast brings a good amount of draw, but also has 4 minions they would prefer not to play with their regular minion play. I'm not sure how all of this will affect the combo, but movement is always useful and Beauty and the Beast can take care of the power. Then we have Seed 19 Zombie Kitty Cats. Queen Fluffy is a key card. Zombies could replay her from the discard pile, but then she needs to get there first. I like being able to play Mr. Grumbers and Muffin in the same turn with a zombie action. But I feel like they might rely a lot on the kitty cat stalling, and both decks cannot put down a lot of power at once. So without Queen Fluffy, this deck would probably struggle. Next we have Polynesian Samurai, Seed 18. Polynesians really want movement because they often have big minions on several bases, and the only action that you would want to play in phase 2 that moves a minion to a base where you already have a minion so you can score the base is Ocean Tattoo. Samurai don't have this, but they do have card draw and terminal actions to use after the Polynesian setup actions. There are also a lot of ways to power up Bushi. Then we have Superheroes Astronauts, Seed 17. Space Knight is a very nice 5 to play with Mild-Mannered Citizen, which will draw a lot of cards. Everything Glove can also draw cards for you, which will make sure that you have Golden Age at the right time. Superheroes add some nice actions that directly affect minions, which Astronauts really benefit from. Then we have Seed 16, Anansi, Pearl and the Images. Pearl has Ruby, a very powerful minion which becomes extra powerful with a few free and borrow Hornets. Pearl has the power, Anansi has the card draw. Anansi the Spider has some nice standard actions from Pearl to play with his talent. Seed 15, Changerbots G.I. Gerald. I often find myself not using Mergicon because I feel like leaving 2 minions out is too much power. With all the small minions from G.I. Gerald, this might change. Changerbots really wants to play some extra minions and Geralds can provide this. Dice Ninja can make sure Leader 2 sees play, and Sawbones can recur him. Changerbots actions plus Mergicon in combination with some bursts from Geralds seems very dangerous. Then we have Seed 14 Wraith Wrestler Cyborg Apes. Cyborg Apes leave a lot of power out, but Wraith Wrestlers increase the breakpoint. Alan makes Cyborg Apes less slow by giving them an extra action play. Cyborg Apes really appreciate the draw from Librarian Hunt as well. Apes are very strong, but often too slow, and Wraith Wrestlers might just be what they need. Then Musketeer Werewolves, Seed 13. Their game plan will mostly be werewolf destruction to keep ahead of their opponent and decrease the power on the base, and then followed by musketeer actions to win the base. Werewolves have only 2 standard actions that give power directly, but Leader of the Pack and Moon Touch also directly affect the minion. With the help from the Musketeer Burst, it should be very easy to get out Great Wolf Spirit for some extra power. C12, Big Hero 6 Goblins. If their opponent has no destruction, Baymax and Blaster will make sure to dominate by keeping minions into play after a base scores. There is amazing power counter synergy, which makes Blaster and Baymax even more dangerous. They are quite dependent on their cards that draw though. Goblin recruiters in their starting hand can make a big difference. Seed 11 Giant Ant Backtimers. Giant Ants need draw and extra action plays. Backtimers provide those extra plays with stasis and also add a bit of draw. There is also power counter synergy with Sideline Girlfriend. Seed 10 Rockstar Steampunks. Groupies plus Archery Slug Thrower is really crazy. Also, both factions can spread out on several bases and can move when you need them to score a base. They have decent draw, but might be a bit slow at the start of the game. Seed 9 Lion King Penguins. Lion King is great in ensuring that you always have minions in your hand, and you can choose to avoid adding penguins to your hand while doing so. Emperor Penguin can shuffle back penguins if needed, because we want to play those from the deck. This combo has a good draw, strong minions, and extra plays, which gave them this high seed. Seed 8 Teens Vigilantes. Vigilantes have a lot of control over their opponent, but are often scattered around on several bases. Teens provide movement to turn this into a strength. Both decks have a lot of actions that make sure you can always play a minion on each of your turns. Seed 7 Kung Fu Clowns. Kung Fu fighters will provide the power. Clowns will provide card draw, movement, and recursion. Clowns can also replay the Kung Fu destruction from the discard pile to keep ahead of their opponent. Seed 6 Ninjas Aladdin. Ninjas have destruction and draw with their Titan. Aladdin has more draw and also power. I like the idea of Ninja Acolyte into Palace card for some power counters, even if you cannot score the base on that turn, because you can always rely on ninja specials. Ninjas also have some very situational actions I'd love to discard with Aladdin. Seed 5 Rulers Mad Scientists. Rulers of the Cosmos love actions that are played on minions. Mad Scientists give extra draw, power, and extra minion plays. They can spread out while building up power because they can also move their minions to the base you want to score. Seed 4 Adolescent Epic Echoes Vampires. The new vampires are very strong, and this combo has a lot of power counter strategy, which Ancient Lord loves. The new vampires also have some extra actions, which will benefit Adolescent Epic Geckos. Geckos have decent draw, as well as movement for some high-powered minions. Seed 3 Grimm's Slashers. Grimms can search for actions and minions, so we will definitely see our most important slashers, which we can also recur. Slashers can dominate by destroying some minions in the first few turns, and then Grimms can provide the power to score the base later. This overall seems like a strong and consistent deck. Then we have C2 Frozen Minions of Cthulhu. Frozen is just a very strong faction, and Minions of Cthulhu wants minions in their hand, which Frozen will provide with searching. Minions of Cthulhu like a partner with a lot of stalling, so they can have more time for their madness game plan. They also like a partner that can score bases for them, so they can win a game with just a little bit help of madness. Frozen will do the latter and will speed up the game dramatically. Frozen also has deck manipulation, which is great to find cards like The Seal is Broken or Complete a Ritual. And then last of all, we have Seed 1 Killer Plant Ghosts. These are just two very strong factions. Ghosts need to see their keycards in order to shine. So for this to happen, we need card draw. Sprout has some very good options. You can play a 5-power Weed Eater, you can play Lily for card draw, or you can play Spirit for destruction and hand size management. A lot of the cards give extra plays, which also helps a lot to reduce your hand size. And last but not least, this deck also has some very strong single features like Overgrowth and Shady Deal. So here you can see the brackets for the tournament. As you can see, Seed 1 is paired against Seed 32, and Seed 2 is against Seed 31, Seed 30 against Seed 3, and so forth. The first game I will be playing will be Killer Plant Ghost versus Masters of Evil Vikings. What combo do you think is going to win this tournament? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and hopefully until the next video.